Welcome to today's explainer. Right off the bat, I just want you to take a deep breath. Seriously, just for a second. Because if you're tuning into this, there is a really good chance you've been feeling, well, pretty overwhelmed lately by just the absolute relentless pressure of modern life. We live in this extreme hustle culture, right? We're constantly bombarded with these messages telling us we need to be vastly better, vastly richer, and just wildly more successful, like by tomorrow morning. We're told we have to optimize literally every single minute of our day, from our ridiculously early morning routines to our late-night side hustles, and frankly, it is absolutely exhausting. So, today, we are going to hit the brakes, we're going to slow down, and explore some really beautifully grounding concepts from Ryuho Okawa's teachings in a book called Coffee Break. It's this incredible collection of wisdom designed to bring a little bit of spiritual lightness and just deep clarity back into our daily grind. We're going to unpack the true purpose of our lives, and best of all, discover a highly practical, totally stress-free path to genuine self-improvement.
So, we are skipping the usual preamble today and diving straight into the deep end. Why did we come into this world? I mean, it's the ultimate human question, isn't it? It's that thought that keeps us wide awake staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m. When you strip away your job title, your daily errands, that overflowing email inbox, and your perfectly curated social media feeds, what is the actual point of all this? We spend decades running on this treadmill, but we really stop to ask where the thing is even plugged in. Well, the source material gives us a remarkably clear, structured, and honestly profoundly comforting answer to this whole existential mystery.
According to the text, human life really boils down to two fundamental, deeply intertwined purposes. The first is what's called the journey of self-discovery, and this is your deeply internal quest. It's about recognizing that, hey, you were born with a highly unique personality and a very specific set of talents. Your fundamental mission is to explore that, to truly understand why you, specifically, were given this particular life and what you are uniquely suited to do in it. But, and here is the crucial catch, you cannot achieve this deep self-awareness in a vacuum. Which brings us to our second, equally vital purpose, involvement with others. You absolutely have to understand your role through society. These aren't just two separate competing paths that you choose between, they are completely codependent. Personal growth is quite literally impossible if you just isolate yourself from the world around you.
This whole idea of codependence is summed up just brilliantly by this fascinating quote from the teachings. It says, "If there were no other people and you were completely alone, you would never truly understand yourself." Just let that sink in for a second. The text is basically telling us that other people act as our mirrors. Think about it practically. If you lived entirely alone on some deserted island, you wouldn't know if you were truly a kind person, or patient, or easily angered, or generous. Why? Because there would be absolutely no one there to trigger those responses, right? There's no one to reflect those qualities back at you. We desperately need the physical and emotional presence of other human beings to reveal our own true nature to ourselves.
So, this whole mirror of society concept, it isn't just about surrounding ourselves with this cozy little echo chamber of friends who constantly validate everything we do. Actually, interacting with people we like, and especially the people we deeply dislike, is exactly how we polish our souls. I love this because it completely reframes how we should look at annoying or difficult relationships. When you encounter someone with wildly different opinions, or, that one coworker who just rubs you the wrong way, your immediate instinct is probably just to avoid them. You want to walk the other way. But the text suggests this friction is incredibly valuable. Those challenging individuals, they are actually showing you a hidden part of yourself. We absolutely need those difficult, uncomfortable interactions to discover who we really are, and to find out where our boundaries and our growing edges actually lie.
And this concept of interpersonal friction builds into a much larger, really magnificent cosmic picture. The source material argues that this friction is definitely not an accident. It's not some glitch in the universe. We live in what is called a relative world, a shared, highly interactive space. The text posits that this world was intentionally created by a higher power specifically for interaction. Think of it like a grand, divine sandbox designed meticulously so that individuals can clash, cooperate, challenge, and ultimately polish each other, like stones tumbling together in a river. By engaging in this interactive friction, we deepen our self-awareness and we discover this hidden potential we never even knew we had. So, the friction, the disagreements, the social challenges, they're a feature of human existence, not a bug.
Okay, so let's completely shift gears for a minute. We've talked a lot about the grand cosmic purpose of life and the heavy, profound work of polishing our souls through human interaction. It's a beautiful philosophy, sure. But how do we actually take a step forward from today? Like, how do we achieve this growth in our incredibly busy, messy daily lives without feeling totally overwhelmed? Well, the answer lies in one simple, incredibly powerful little number, 10%.
Now, this approach is an absolute game changer for anyone who has ever failed a New Year's resolution, which is all of us, right? Or just felt completely crushed by the weight of their own ambitions. Like I said earlier, we are culturally conditioned to aim for this massive 10x or 100x overnight transformation. We want to completely reinvent ourselves by tomorrow morning. We want the instant six-pack, the immediate promotion, the overnight enlightenment. But the text warns us that this sudden, massive goal setting is actually really painful. It almost always leads directly to burnout, severe frustration, and just totally unnecessary suffering. So contrast that toxic hustle with aiming for a simple 10% upgrade. This is the comforting reality of actual human development. True, lasting growth doesn't require some heroic, agonizing leap. It just requires a gentle, consistent 10% effort from your current self. And that is what leads to steady, reasonable, and deeply sustainable development.
This philosophy makes daily improvement so beautifully accessible, mostly because you're no longer staring at an impossible mountain. The text grounds this idea in highly relatable, everyday stuff. Let's say you want to improve your finances. Okay, try to increase your income or your savings just a little bit, a mere 10%, rather than dreaming of becoming a millionaire by next Tuesday. If you are naturally introverted and you want to be more social, don't force yourself to host some massive dinner party every weekend. Just aim to be 10% more outgoing. Smile 10% more. Step outside just a bit more often. If you struggle with workplace communication, try speaking up just 10% more often in your meetings. If you feel you don't read enough, don't try to tackle a massive library in a week. Just read 10% more pages than you did last month. You see what I mean? It takes the pressure entirely off. It is completely 100% doable.
And here's the magic. When you string these small, highly achievable moments together, you build a long-term engine for sustainable growth. It's this incredibly practical cycle of reasonable development. Step 1, accept your current baseline. You have to be ruthlessly honest about where you are starting from today, and you have to do it without any guilt or self-judgment. Step 2, aim for that steady 10% upgrade based firmly on that reality. And step 3, once you hit that 10% milestone, and you definitely will because it's totally achievable, you don't stop. You establish that new level as your new baseline, and you set a brand new 10% goal. It creates this compounding, incredibly powerful journey of self-improvement. By consistently hitting these tiny, manageable benchmarks, you end up growing massively over the months and years, but the effort never actually feels overwhelming in the present moment. It's brilliant.
Now, when we scale this up, this simple little strategy builds from the individual level to a sweeping global reality. If you ever sit there and think a 10% upgrade is just way too small to matter in the grand scheme of things, consider this really profound point from the teachings. A utopia is not a fantasy. It is simply the gathering of individuals who have each grown and improved by 10%. The source material makes the incredibly grounded point that a perfect society isn't just going to magically fall out of the sky one day. It is ultimately just a collection of individuals, exactly like you and me. If one person becomes 10% happier, and then 2 people, and then 3 people, that compounding personal growth collectively creates a dramatically better world. Your small, reasonable daily upgrade actually shifts the needle for all of humanity. It spreads like wildfire.
So I'm going to leave you with a question to take into the rest of your day. What is your 10% upgrade for today? You now know that your life's fundamental purpose involves both deeply discovering yourself and polishing your soul through involvement with others. And you know, crucially, that taking a step forward from today doesn't mean you have to change absolutely everything overnight. It just requires a slight 10% shift from your current self. So what's it going to be? Will you be 10% kinder to that really difficult, frustrating coworker, using that friction to actually grow? Will you read 10% more pages tonight to deepen your own self-discovery? Will you speak up just 10% more in your very next meeting? The path to a better you and ultimately a much better world isn't a massive, terrifying leap. It's just a 10% step. Take that step today. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.